Have you ever been in a position where there's something that you need to do, probably urgently, but you just haven't been in the right mindset to do it? And no matter what you do or no matter what you try, it just doesn't work. You just can't get yourself to do it. Even if you sit down and start it, it just doesn't seem to work. Because that was me yesterday with this video. So, I was really tired, it's been a long day, but I really wanted to get it done. I didn't want to, I was already a day behind schedule, I didn't want to be behind anymore. So I set up everything I needed to. Well, I set up the basics. I had the camera, I had my microphone and my laptop. I didn't have any other lighting. And I thought I'll just set it up, I'll just record and I'll see what happens. Because sometimes, you start something and the momentum builds up and you carry on from there. But it didn't happen. Like, I'd recorded some stuff and I was just talking shit, but I looked tired, I sounded tired, everything was just off, and I didn't really mind that the quality wasn't going to be there, because at that point I just wanted to do it, so I kept up with the consistency. But why am I telling all of this? Sometimes we have to listen to ourselves. Sometimes, when we tell ourselves that we're tired, that means we need to stop and take a break. And I know we've all been there before, we've probably had those moments where we've been like, right, yeah, okay, we'll take a break here or whatever. But there's probably a lot of times where we don't take the break that we need. So I decided to turn everything off and call it a day and just relax and go and do something that I enjoyed. Because it was almost going to be more of a challenge in terms of, well, the filming, okay, yeah, I could have done that, I could have talked my way through that, but the editing would have taken a lot longer because there was a lot more that I'd have to edit out. So, in essence, the task would have been a lot longer to do overall and taken more time, which would have contradicted the reason why I did it in the first place. It's definitely, obviously, important that we look after ourselves, but what that also means is that we actually work with ourselves rather than against ourselves, because as humans, we're obviously capable of an awful lot, and we can go through and withstand an awful lot. We need to work with it with ourselves. It's very easy to get lost in our own head and just think all the time, rather than listen to our inner thoughts. I've got to do this task, I've got to write this script, I've got to film this video, I've got to edit this video, it's got to be out by Sunday, I've got to do this today, I've got to make sure I do this on time. But you don't listen to yourself. Like, your mind could just be saying, chill out, it's fine, we've got this. We can do it another time, or we'll set a set time tomorrow, like I have done now. And sometimes we have the answers for ourselves, but we just don't hear them because we're too busy thinking, right? It's funny the amount of times, if you listen to people when they speak, especially when they're telling you a problem, they'll very usually tell you their problem and tell you the answer to it, but they don't hear themselves say it, or they don't want to acknowledge the answer because it seems either too difficult, or it'll take up too much time, or whatever the reason may be, right? It's like, when you have an injury, a physical injury, be it you've broken your shoulder or hurt your leg or whatever it is, and you have to sleep in a certain way, you have to sort of adjust your whole either lifestyle or everything you do around it. You have to walk a different way or sleep a different way or whatever it may be. And sometimes we do that mentally as well, right? There comes a problem, but we just get so used to it, we cope with the problem rather than solve it, because it's easier to just, instead of lay on your side, lay on your back, rather than, fix the shoulder or do whatever. Well, okay, I know it's not as simple as just fixing a shoulder, but when it can be fixing a problem, sometimes we either don't see it or we think it's too much of a challenge. So people often tell you that they either, they're feeling really tired all the time, they don't rest enough or they work too much. And right there, they've already told you the problem and almost the answer, because then you just do the opposite, right? If you're tired, you sleep more or rest more. If you're working too much, then work less. And okay, yes, that's not the answer sometimes. Okay, before you come at me, I know that's not the right answer. Like, you can't just work less. And sometimes you got to look at it like that as well. Sometimes it's not just a case of you have a problem and the opposite is easily the answer, right? Sometimes it's a case of you have to do something else. So if your day looks like you work all day and then you come home and relax, maybe instead of doing the same thing every day and coming home and just relaxing and sitting in front of the TV or whatever, you do something that you actually enjoy. But not just that, but something you find meaningful. Because you might enjoy watching TV. But again, that's how you get into the same routine of stuff, and because you're not pursuing anything meaningful. Humans weren't made to sit in front of a screen all day. You should be able to agree with me on that. And we all like different things, and there's different things that we can do. And then sometimes it's a case of you might not know what you enjoy or find meaningful. You've got to go out there and test it. You've got to go and try things. And this can be anything. It'd be sitting out in the garden and reading, phoning a friend or family member, writing, exercising, going for a walk, bird watching, plane watching, whatever, right? It could be anything. But if you choose to do something like that you actually enjoy, rather than just coming home and doing the same routine to relax, then suddenly not every day is the same. Because yes, okay, you go out and work, but everyone does that. So of course that's going to happen. You've got to do certain things. But when you come home and you do a different activity every day, or you do things that you enjoy, of course I'm not saying stop watching TV altogether. Sometimes you might want to come home and just kick your feet up and watch TV, and that's fine. But if we have different things incorporated as well, then suddenly not every day is the same. And sometimes that can have such an impact on our lives, a really positive impact on our lives, but it's hard to sort of, because it's not something you can measure, right? It's not like you have a happiness scale that you can just look at, and every time you go outside it goes up that much more, and you can tell that that's something that you enjoy, so you do it more. It's something that once you do often enough, you see the rewards of it. And that's why a lot of people don't change, they don't do different things, because they don't get that instant gratification. And that's why a lot of people stay where they are, because they look for that instant gratification. Because they don't get that, they just stop or give up or don't do what needs to be done, which again is, each their own. We all have our own lives, but sometimes you've got to stick at something, and it doesn't take that long for the change to actually have an effect, right? It's not like you're going to the gym and you're trying to get absolutely cut and have that six-pack and be really, built or whatever, and right now you're a little overweight, because at that point, you've got to lose the weight, gain fitness, and then bulk up as well, right? It's bulk up and then shred whatever you decide to do, but it doesn't take that long sometimes. It's these small changes that you do feel very quickly, so it's definitely worth testing and trying out. And this is a lot of, when I talk about mindset, that's the stuff to do with it as well, right? It's like when you do a workout, when you go for a walk, when you do some exercise, sure, at the time you might absolutely hate it. I hate going for a run. I don't enjoy running at all. I really don't. Maybe a little bit, but really not a lot. But the feeling I get afterwards, after I completed it, after I come and sat down and took my gear off and thought, thank fuck that's over, the feeling I have is positive. It's feel good. Okay, yes, I did that. I've achieved that. I've done something good for myself. That's also what I mean by mindset. Is it's not just what you say, it's also what you do that has that impact on you. On the flip side, you have negativity. You may have seen something on the news. Something on social media came up. You're watching a TV program and people are arguing on there. You've fallen out with a friend, or you may have just had a negative conversation with a colleague or boss. You're scrolling through social media to see who got cancelled today. All these negative things have the same effect, but our brains don't categorise different things. It doesn't say, right, okay, this is just a news article, it's fine for us, because we're not involved, it's just a negative news article. Or that argument on TV is fictional, it's on TV, so it doesn't matter. It has an impact. It has that negative effect. That's why movies make us emotional, because our brain doesn't distinguish the difference between reality and not, right? It sees negative, has a negative impact, sees positive, has a positive impact. And because it doesn't categorize this, it means when you do things like talk negatively to yourself. And this can be just like even small, like as a joke, you drop something and idiot, and then pick it back up. Although it doesn't have, if you watch something on TV, the emotional effect there can be much bigger than just calling yourself an idiot. But again, because the brain doesn't categorize it still has the same negative effect, right? And sometimes it's a learned behavior, so we do things instantly, and it's a kind of a cause and effect. So you drop your phone, idiot, you pick it back up. And you've said that one thing. How often does that happen throughout the day? Not you specifically dropping your phone, but negative things all around us that happen that you pick up that you don't really think about, which is even worse because you don't understand how much is actually going on around you in terms of negativity. But that's just the natural way of how things are going to be, right? You know, that's how we're wired to think, is more negatively. What possible catastrophe could happen here and how can I avoid it? That's the way we think, so we avoid danger. But we think so much of that all the time that it's very easy to just instantly think into that negative field. See, here's the thing. Negativity can be thought of an absence of positivity, but vice versa, right? Positivity can just be the absence of negativity. And the good thing about this is it means you don't have to go around thinking happy thoughts all the time, or always talking positively to yourself, right? It just means less negative. Take what I said about the brain perceiving negative things and flip it around, right? It's the same for positivity, it doesn't have that category. So whether you say something nice to yourself, or whether you're hanging out with your friends and having a good time, whether you're seeing family and enjoying yourself, whether you're out down the pub, whether you've just achieved something or just been congratulated. Okay, yes, these will have different effects emotionally wise, like some may be more emotionally impactful than others, but the result is still the same in terms of the positivity being taken in, and that's sort of the main goal here. With all of this being said, mindset means different things. It doesn't mean always think positively. It doesn't mean you have to always be in a certain mindset, otherwise you won't be successful. It just means sometimes you have to listen to yourself and take the break when you need it. Be kinder to yourself. Sit down and ask yourself what problem do you want to solve, or what could you do that you either find meaningful, that you enjoy, instead of watching TV. And think about that every time you turn it on. What could you do instead? Even if you end up going back to the TV anyway, but you stand outside first for 5 minutes. Because for those 5 minutes, you're away from the negative and you're more towards the positive, right? It's the small things. Start with the small things and take them in. But yeah, that's this week's video. Next week, I'm really excited for that one because that's the monthly reset. That'll be November monthly reset. So that'll be looking at this month's goals and how I did with them and what I want to be doing going into the next month. But yeah, let me know one thing you learned today or what you took away from this. So hope you all have a very fantastic week. Yeah, appreciate it. If you like, comment and subscribe. If you have any feedback, again, please in the comments let me know. Still learning to improve. So yeah, but thank you all for your time. Have a very, very fantastic week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.